Seduction, like power, does not belong to the most attractive. It belongs to the most strategic. Machiavelli would never leave attraction up to chance. He would recognize that desire is not about physical features, but about behavior, nuanced, deliberate, and calculated. True magnetism comes not from looks, but from mystery, mastery, scarcity, and emotional control. Men who chase, who plead, who over-explain. These men become predictable. And predictability? It's the death knell of desire. In this video, I'm going to reveal 5 cold yet effective rules that will flip the dynamic, so that instead of pursuing, you become the one pursued. The real question isn't whether they'll notice you. That part is inevitable. The real question is, will you know how to hold your ground when the tables turn and they start coming toward you? There are men who chase desire as if it were a prize to be hunted and claimed. Then, there are the wiser few, those who see through the illusion. They understand that the real game is not in chasing, but in becoming the object of pursuit. And when it comes to desire, especially in the intricate world of attraction between men and women, few have understood the nature of this game as sharply as Niccolo Machiavelli. No, Machiavelli didn't write chapters on romantic seduction in The Prince, but the principles he laid down about power, emotional discipline, and calculated manipulation apply flawlessly to the dynamics of love, or more accurately, to the illusion of love. Because, Professor, if I may borrow your attention for a moment, female desire is not something that can be conquered through force or neediness. It is provoked, sparked, teased out, and those who master this elusive dynamic rarely find themselves needing to chase anyone. They create gravity around themselves and simply let others drift in. So today, we're diving into a subject that's as provocative as it is unspoken, a subject many feel, but few dare to name. We're talking about Machiavellian seduction, not the watered-down version laced with performative niceness, but the ancient and sharp-edged art of conquering hearts without ever surrendering your own. Let's begin with the first rule, one that cuts deep into the core of modern dating behavior. Be scarce, not in possessions, but in presence. Machiavelli understood with razor-sharp clarity that the value of anything increases with its scarcity. A treasure is cherished because few can touch it. A gem is desired because of its rarity. And human attraction? It follows the same law. Men who are always there, who answer instantly, who show clear interest before even being chosen, they're labeled as too available. And availability, by nature, diminishes perceived value. What is easy to reach is rarely truly wanted. The Machiavellian man approaches this truth with surgical detachment. He doesn't throw himself at anyone. He knows that desire is ignited in spaces where there is distance. That emotional intimacy, when unaccompanied by scarcity, quickly morphs into dullness. He doesn't appear when expected. He appears when necessary. And when he does, he arrives with the unshakable calm of someone who knows they've already been missed. He moves not like someone seeking validation, but like someone who knows he is the one being observed. And inevitably, women, guided by the same subconscious drives that steer all players in the social arena, begin to ask themselves, who is he after all? Why doesn't he seem to need me? Am I the one trying to impress him? That's the moment everything shifts, the dynamic flips, and the hunter unknowingly becomes the hunted. A powerful psychological reversal begins. At this point, don't ask for explanations. Instead, create the space where they feel compelled to explain themselves, voluntarily, even desperately. One of the most telling traits of weak men is their constant thirst for justification. They want to dissect every behavior. They ask, did I say something wrong? Is she upset with me? Am I still important to her? These men live in doubt. They chase after answers as if those answers will give them a sense of control. But here's the problem. The moment you start demanding explanations, you expose your insecurity, and insecurity is the opposite of authority. It's a silent admission of weakness, and in the realm of attraction, weakness repels. The Machiavellian man, however, plays a different game entirely. He doesn't ask. He doesn't chase clarity. He simply observes, calm, composed, sometimes even unreadable, and it's this very indifference, this refusal to react, that flips the emotional balance. Because when someone doesn't respond the way we expect, when our actions don't provoke the reaction we're hoping for, we begin to spiral. We wonder, did I do something wrong? Have I lost them? That doubt becomes fuel, and soon the other person is the one searching for reassurance. Machiavelli put it clearly, a prince should seem deaf when he hears criticism and blind when he sees betrayal. Translated into the art of seduction, that means one thing: emotional detachment. Let her struggle to regain your attention. Let her wonder what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and more importantly, whether she still has power over you. Because once she starts chasing your attention, she has already taken the first step toward emotional surrender. Rule 3. Show power without ever announcing it. Too many men confuse power with spectacle. They think they need to parade their status, show off their money, flash their achievements, talk about other women, or drop hints about influence. But real power doesn't boast. It's felt. It's noticed. It's sensed in the silence between words. True dominance is in how a man enters a room, with calm purpose, with deliberate movement, without rush or desperation. It's in how he speaks, firmly, but never too loudly. It's in how he doesn't need to explain who he is, because everyone can feel it the moment he's present. The Machiavellian man carries his power like a well-cut suit, silent, elegant, unmistakable. He never declares his importance. It's already understood. Machiavelli understood this instinctively. He once wrote, "The true leader does not need to announce his authority. It is recognized by the silence he causes." And in the arena of attraction, this rule hits with brutal clarity. Women aren't drawn to loud declarations or flashy signals. They are drawn to control, even if that control is only a carefully constructed illusion. So how do you convey this power? Through subtle actions, through stillness when others are frantic, through deliberate pauses, through silences that echo louder than words. Let them interpret your presence. Let them guess at your intentions. Let them feel the weight of your absence just as deeply as they feel your presence. Because sometimes the most powerful form of seduction is silence. We spend so much time talking about perfect lines, romantic confessions, long, heartfelt texts, and poetic promises. But we forget that silence has its own language, its own devastating power. The foolish man floods the silence, afraid of discomfort. But the wise man, he uses silence as a strategic weapon. Why? Because silence breeds unease. It stirs curiosity. It creates space for imagination. And in that space, desire grows. The wise man uses it as a weapon because silence creates anxiety. It generates curiosity. It encourages speculation. Speculation that almost always favors the one who chooses silence over speech. Why? Because silence is a canvas for the imagination. It leaves room for interpretation, and people fill in the blanks with their own projections, projections that often elevate the silent figure in their minds. Machiavelli knew this better than anyone. He grasped the power behind withholding. He understood that words can betray us, reveal our inner weaknesses, expose our fears, but silence conceals. Silence suggests strength, composure, and control. It creates an aura of authority. So the Machiavellian man doesn't waste words. He uses them only when necessary, and even then, sparingly. He knows that sometimes a prolonged gaze says more than an entire speech. A slow, intentional pause before responding can leave a deeper impact than a rushed explanation. In his world, timing is everything, and restraint is a mark of mastery. And above all, he who remains silent makes no mistakes. He gives nothing away. And because there are no visible flaws to critique or dismantle, he is perceived, whether consciously or not, as near perfect. And nothing is more attractive than the illusion of perfection. Never seem to depend on her, even when you want to. This may be the most painful truth of all. It speaks directly to the deep, often unspoken fear at the heart of modern masculinity, the fear of being alone. Many men enter relationships with the hope of finding completion, of being healed by affection. They hope love will mend what the world has broken, that finally someone will embrace them entirely, without judgment, without conditions. But the Machiavellian man sees through this illusion. He knows the raw truth. No one loves another completely. People love versions, pieces, fragments of others, and when those pieces evolve or vanish, so too does the affection they inspired. That's why he never allows himself to become emotionally dependent. Not even on the woman he loves, not even when his heart aches for her presence. Because emotional dependence is a form of surrender, and surrender, even quiet, internal surrender, breeds vulnerability. And vulnerability, no matter how noble it may seem in theory, often repels in practice, especially in the subtle power play of desire. It triggers something primal. Instinctively, the dependent one is viewed as less valuable, less magnetic. The Machiavellian man accepts this. He chooses strength. He chooses autonomy. Yes, he loves. Yes, he desires. Yes, he cares. But he never gives the impression that his survival hinges on her affection. Because in the unspoken battlefield of attraction, the one who needs less always holds more power. And ultimately, the one who appears self-sufficient, who can walk away at any moment without breaking, becomes the one who is pursued. The one who doesn't need becomes the one most deeply wanted. Conclusion: seduction is not the art of love. It is the art of power. Let's be clear, seduction has little to do with physical beauty, flashy wealth, or even practiced charm. These are surface-level tricks. At its core, seduction is about emotional positioning. It's the psychological art of creating the sense that something precious could slip away at any moment. And when people feel that loss is near, they cling tighter. If Machiavelli were here today, he wouldn't be impressed with our modern talk of radical honesty or open-hearted transparency. He'd scoff at the idea that emotional clarity always leads to deeper connection. He would call it what it is: naivety dressed up as virtue. For Machiavelli, desire does not flourish in certainty, it grows in shadows. Desire is born from tension. Tension is born from uncertainty. And uncertainty is crafted by those who understand the rules of the game. So, Professor, I leave you with this final question, one that separates the dreamers from the strategists. Do you want to be loved, or do you want to be desired? They are not the same. They do not come from the same source. And if it's desire that you seek, then never forget. Desire is not conquered, it is provoked.